Good evening and welcome to another edition, actually a special edition of our webinar, LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching. It's a special edition because we have a really interesting topic today. We're going to be sharing from our experience with open educational resources, what we've been doing in Romania, and what kind of infrastructure LIVRESQ can ensure in order to create and share open educational resources. It's the first time we speak about this to our English-speaking audience, but it's sort of going to show you what LIVRESQ is and how it fits into this discussion about open educational resources, what our infrastructure looks like, what we've been doing so far in Romania. That's going to be like an introduction. But I'm also going to show you that we have a lot of resources in English already on our library and in our library that you can explore and use. If you've never been to one of these webinars before, whether you're watching us live, you've joined me on Zoom, or whether you're watching us on Facebook Live, um, feel free to ask questions at any point. I'm going to follow the chat. You can even turn on your microphone and ask us questions. Come join us live. And if you're watching a recording of this on YouTube, which is the case for most of our audience usually, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and a member of our team will get back to you as soon as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to sort of start giving you some background info on what we're doing with open educational resources in Romania, because we're in the middle of developing training for around 100,000 teachers in which we can help them create open educational resources using the LIVRESQ platform. And my focus today is sort of showing you what that looks like, showing you what the open educational resources that have been published on our platform so far look like, what teachers have been doing. And in terms of numbers, I'm just going to change my screen share in a second, and I'm going to change it to the LIVRESQ library. The LIVRESQ library can be accessed directly from the link library.livresq.com. I'll also paste it in the Zoom chat in a second. There we go. I just need to, so hold on. Arrange everything so that I can see all the chats and all of the comments. Because essentially what LIVRESQ is, it's an e-learning authoring platform that allows you to create educational resources, and it also allows you to create open educational resources because we have this library where teachers and e-learning creators can post their materials, and these can be accessed for free, and they can also be used to edit them further. So essentially incorporating all of the characteristics of an open educational resource. And what I'm going to do now is sort of take you step by step through that process and showing you what that looks like in the context of LIVRESQ. So our users, besides being able to create their own resources, they're also able to publish them in the library. And I'm starting with telling you about the library so that we can see some of the finished products and we can see how these resources that teachers have created, mainly teachers, but also educational professionals have created, what they look like and how they can be found. So right now it says here that we have around 43,000 interactive publications, so e-learning content bits. Not all of these materials are open educational resources because not all of them can be edited and not all of them are public, but around 5,400 of these can be edited and are considered open educational resources. We were also part of multiple projects, besides the fact that we are doing this for 100,000 teachers in Romania. We've been doing this for a while. LIVRESQ was launched in 2020. So, and it's been used since 2020 by teachers to create open educational resources. Now, when you first look at our library, one key aspect about it is the fact that you don't need an account in order to access the resources published here. So it's very important to note that you do not need any type of account. Your students won't need accounts. We do not collect data from students. So these are you're truly able to access everything for free and without any limitations. This is just the homepage where you can find some of the newly added lessons, some of our editor's choices. In order to access everything, we're going to go in publications. And publications works like this, where you can select a certain filter and look through all of the materials that are public in the library. Now, in order to make sure that we're talking about open educational resources, obviously these need to be able to be editable. So that means that the teacher who has created this lesson was able to to include the source, and then we are able to edit that lesson. Just give me 1 second. I'm having a bit of a problem with. Excuse me, I was a bit offline with my microphone. I'm back. Hopefully you can hear me. If there is any problem with being able to hear me, please let me know. So I was talking about the source and the fact that when you publish a material, when you publish a resource in the LIVRESQ library, you can share the source, which gives other users the possibility to edit that source and to edit a copy of that material. Besides source included here, I'll also select another filter just to make sure that the materials we're going to find are going to be in English. So right now we have the results for everything that's in English inside our library and that can be edited. So for instance, if we click on one of these materials right here, we can access the metadata page where we can find some information about some information that the teacher or the creator has decided to share about what the resource is about. We can open the resource and we can also edit a copy of it. This is when we start needing an account, but if you just want to use this lesson, whether you're using it for sending it to students or whether you're using it synchronously or asynchronously, you can just send this link, you can open it and use it as it is. Again, no need for an account for this. And actually, if you're on Zoom, I'm going to share this link. And if you don't have a LIVRESQ account, you'll see that you're able to look at this lesson, you're going to be able to open it, and you're going to see everything in interactive form. If you have an account, however, so everything the teacher added, I have access to, interactions, everything is open, everything is here. And because the teacher has decided to also share the source of the material, I can now click here and I can be taken all the way to the editor, to the LIVRESQ editor, and edit a copy of this project, which essentially makes it an open educational resource. Another key aspect of this is that there was a lot of discussion when we created the platform about copyright and crediting the original author. And this is, again, another important aspect when it comes to discussions about open educational resources. We wanted to make sure that the original author is credited, and we wanted to make sure about this technically. So if I decide to edit the source, to edit the lesson that this teacher has created, maybe add something to it, maybe change little things inside of it, I want the users of LIVRESQ to see what the original material was. And this is featured automatically. It cannot be deleted, and it's going to appear in the History tab. Now, unless something, right now probably this teacher had 2 versions of this, and that's why it says publication has been revoked. But if we had another original material in the library where, and this would have been a copy of that, this would have used that source, it would have been stated here very clearly. So you can actually trace an educational material all the way to its original. If I create something, then somebody uses my source, changes a few things, in the history tab inside the metadata page for my material, you will be able to see this, and you'll be able to see this clearly. You'll have a link to it, you'll have the name of the original creator, so you can trace back the open educational resource back to its original form. And again, all of this is not easily erased. This will be done automatically, and it was very important for us to incorporate this as well. Otherwise, the way teachers use these materials, or the way they create them, because that's the beauty of it, depends on how they want to configure and how they want to use these materials. The idea, in most cases, is to create materials that you can use in class, or you can send to students for maybe a flipped classroom setting, or maybe for them to go through asynchronously. This depends a lot on what the teachers want and how they configure the material. If we go back to this one, it's again up to the teacher whether they want to use this maybe on a projector inside the classroom, or maybe they want to send this to their students so that they can go over it bit by bit. Very versatile in that respect. And it's also the choice of the user, of the LIVRESQ user, if they want to create open educational resources or not. My purpose tonight is sort of show you that we have the infrastructure for that, the library is configured for open educational resources, as well as resources that maybe you don't want to share the source with. But then obviously, in the context of open educational resources, they're no longer open. So you do have this entire infrastructure that is readily available. And again, students do not need accounts. You can access the library at any point for free without any actual restrictions. Now, another important aspect is what actually happens in the editor. And for the editor, you do need an account, because that's where the teacher actually creates that resource. If you want to start from an open educational resource that was already created in the LIVRESQ library, we have this Edit Source button. And I'm going to actually use this to take us back to the author. If you have any questions up to this point about the library, about how it works, you can ask me. Again, I'm presenting this and I'm sort of showing you this in the context of OERs, but you don't have to publicly to publicize materials if created in LIVRESQ. You don't have to share the source, only if you want to create open educational resources. And our numbers so far are around 5,400, so 5,400 materials that are considered open educational resources because they are readily available and their source is also editable. This is our library. In terms of our author, the actual tool used to create educational resources, when we open a project in editable form, this is what it looks like. In the author, we call everything that we create in LIVRESQ projects because it's easier to follow. LIVRESQ is very versatile. Educational resources are very versatile. They can have little bits of interactive content, they can have videos, they can have text, and many different types of content. So we create everything put together. We call it a project. And a LIVRESQ project usually has one or multiple sections. The section is where we can actually find the content, and everything is editable. What I've done is copy or edit the source, click on edit source, what you've seen me do. For the project that we found, I clicked on that. A copy of the project was automatically created in my account in the editor. This can be done with a free account as well. And now I'm free to edit the main section. So this is a project with only one section. I can edit everything that the original creator has added to this. And what I'm going to sort of show you next very fast is how editing works and how fast and easy this is. The core principle in LIVRESQ is double click. Whenever you want to edit a bit of content, you'll double click that bit of content and you'll be able to edit everything. In terms of text, like I've just done, I've double clicked it. The text editing menu pops up on the screen. I can change the format of the text. I can add more text. I can, hold on, just a second. Are you sure you can't see my screen? I'm checking the Facebook Live transmission and it appears that my screen is showing. So maybe if you're on your phone, you need to rotate your phone so that you can see my screen. Does anyone else have this problem where you on laptop? Okay. I'll just stop the share screen and I'll share it again. Still nothing? Okay. We have another participant that says that the screen is showing. Okay, so maybe it was a little bit of a glitch. All right. So if you've missed all of that, this is what the project looks like. I've entered the project, and then any element that I want to edit, I can double click. I have, for example, for the text, I have a text editing menu that pops up. I can paste text, I can take it from other places, I can add text. If I have a premium account, I can edit it using AI. We do have OpenAI that's integrated. We can perform different tasks. I don't want to sort of get too much into that. We have previous webinars with the recordings on our YouTube channel where you can find more details about using AI. But just to give you an idea of how it works, you double click anything you want to edit and you can edit it. For text, it's the easiest because you can see the text editing menu inside the section. If you want to change an image, for instance, we'll double click that image and we'll enter the image editing mode. I'm still inside my project, still inside my section, but I'm editing this particular image. I can change it, either upload an image from my computer or search through 3 huge stock photo databases. It really gives a lot of freedom in terms of resolution, a lot of features there. And I'm sort of not going to be able to talk about all of our features, but the key word here is versatility. If you think you might want to add something, a certain type of resource or a certain type of content in LIVRESQ, you're most likely able to, even if it's not created in LIVRESQ. So it's not just texts and images and little interactive ways to create text. You can also integrate something like this, for instance, which is it's a code that's completely interactive. I'll just preview this very fast, that the teacher added for a little puzzle game. So if you want to integrate things that you're creating in other places, learning apps, word walls, anything, you can still do that. So that's why it's very versatile, and that's why it's usually it takes a lot of time to sort of explain everything and show you everything. But the principle, you can edit an open educational resource inside the library, inside the LIVRESQ library. You double click on an element, you're able to edit it and do a lot more things, whether this element is static, like text and images, or whether this element is a video or something interactive, a little game. If you want to remove something, then all you need to do is select it and click on the delete button up here. Regardless of the element you select, you'll still have this menu pop up here. So if I don't want this image, I can just delete it. I can undo the last modification and sort of have it back there. I can just change it with another image using double click, delete it altogether. If you want to add more elements that were not there previously, all you need to do is use drag and drop, and all of the possible elements that you can add are located on the left-hand side under content. So you just drag and drop any bit of content you want in a certain place in your project. And then the same principle applies. You double click and you change it to whatever you want. What I've done here is add a video. So maybe for the discussion, I don't want this simple image, I want a video. I can delete the image and I can add a video by using drag and drop. Very easy, very fast. And I've started from an open educational resource that I was able to find in the LIVRESQ library, added my own things to it, and then I can publish it again. LIVRESQ offers a lot of other ways to work in creating educational resources. We have a tool that allows you to create a project using AI, so you can ask for a certain type of lesson. If you want a lesson about a certain topic, it will create that automatically, and what you edit is everything that is interactive. Before I show you that, I'd like to leave that for the last beat of this meeting. I want to show you what happens when we publish again, just to sort of show you the link between the library and whatever we create here in the editor. So let's just go back to the project. This is the project level. I was inside my section where most of my content is. There are different menus here. We can even add assistants and other educational aids inside LIVRESQ projects. You can have a virtual teacher that pops up and gives the student more information. Again, lots and lots of features. You can create table of contents and organize the material. Not the scope for today. What I want to show you is the metadata page, because this is where you add information that will help other people find your lesson easier inside the LIVRESQ library. This is where we give it a title. This is where we add our name. We can add a description, and we were able to see that metadata page inside the library. We saw everything here in this little cover. So if we go back and retrace our steps, because I didn't save, I just looked for English language materials with the included source. This is the original material. I clicked edit source to be able to edit this. And this is everything that the teacher has featured for the metadata. Some keywords, the table of contents, descriptions. Everything that appears here helps a user find a lesson more easily when they start looking inside the LIVRESQ library. They can search by title, author, metadata, or any information. And it also gives us information about the purpose, the short description of the lesson. We have some classification information also featured here. If we go back to the editor, we can see that everything is editable. We can change the description, we can add more fields. So if you want to add another text field to add more information maybe about the goals or objectives, you can. You can add more keywords as well, attachments. If you want your students to be able to download something before accessing the lesson, maybe you work with test sheets or different bits of files that you want the student to be able to download, you can provide that as an attachment in the metadata page. You can also provide it as an attachment inside the actual lesson, inside the actual resource. But it's basically a place where you can create your own cover, because that's what the metadata page is. It's a cover that can help users find your open educational resource more easily in the library. And after you finish editing this part as well, you have an export button that allows you to do a number of things. So if your school has an LMS and you want to use this material integrated in an LMS, you can download the SCORM file. This is available for pro accounts, though, I should mention that. You can also download it as a plain HTML package or a PDF. Now, we encourage teachers generally to create lessons that are interactive. So in terms of interactivity, the PDF doesn't make too much sense. If you want to keep your games, to keep your tools that you've integrated, I encourage you maybe not to use PDFs. But if you want to benefit from the infrastructure for open educational resources that we provide inside the library that I've just showed you, you can publish to library. And this allows you to have free hosting and to host your materials for free without any restrictions. This little checkbox here allows you to truly make your resource open, in that if we click here, the little button, once your resource is public, other users will have access to the source and will be able to do what we've just done. So they can click on edit source and they are able to edit a copy of your material. And you saw that this is my decision. I'm making the decision whether I want my resource to be open or not, whether I want it to make sense in terms of an open discussion. If I click on confirm for export and publish, it takes a few seconds, and then I am able to, I'll get a link, and I'm able to access this material. Right now, it's not public. It tells me that it's not public. I've included the source, but only people who have access to this link will be able to use my lesson and to see it. So if I send you this link, then you're able to access it, but so far you're not able to change to see it in the publications. I didn't change the name, and that was not a nice thing to do, but that's okay because in the history tab, I'm able to see everything, and I'm able to see the actual history of this material and to see the original material. So if I go under history, anyone accessing this lesson, anyone accessing this material will see that it's not originally mine, that what I've done is edit this one that was the original. If I wanted to truly be an open educational resource, besides the fact that I've included the source, the next step would be to publish it. Because again, only people who have this link, only people I've personally given this link to, are able to access it at this point. And there's this big button here that says request to publish. What this does is send a request to an actual person, a member of our team, that will check the lesson. They will check for a number of things. So we do have some form of filtering for the resources you can find in the library. We filter for any type of content that is not appropriate to children of all ages. We want you to feel safe to use this platform in education for all levels. So there's an actual person, one of the editors of the library, that will check the content and will make sure that there isn't anything inappropriate there. And then another key thing that they do is the fact that they check that everything works well, that it is fully functional, that all the links are working, and that there is enough information in the metadata section, so that it's not just an empty entry sort of in the library. And this is our way to make sure that whatever you find in the publications is actually moderated, it doesn't contain anything inappropriate, you're able to use it does contain something that is of value for that particular school subject and in that particular context. So again, really creating this platform where you can both publish, use, and edit open educational resources. Um, this is awesome. Do I have this right? I can get a private link with fully interactive capacity on my courses, which can be used, for example, for a private resume portfolio. Yes. So in the case of open educational resources, you will have to make it public and you will have to have the source editable. That's if you really want to publish in that context. If you want to use LIVRESQ to work on different types of materials, then you don't need to publish them. You can just create any form of lesson and it will just be on your shelf. The hosting is still free. We don't charge for it. It doesn't matter what type of account you have. You'd be able to host as many projects as you want. You don't click on request to publish, and then you just send the link to whoever you want to send it to. I think I've understood your question correctly. Um, So yeah, private resume, portfolio, anything can be used. You just create your material in LIVRESQ. Now, I've sort of shown you the easiest, or maybe perhaps not really the easiest way, but I've shown you how to create something in LIVRESQ by starting from somebody else's work, sort of, by using an open educational resource. Of course, you can start from scratch and build your own things. The fastest way to do this is the home page of the editor. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so I can make sure that you can see it properly. There are multiple ways to begin. The fastest way at the moment, besides using somebody else, a resource created by somebody else, is to use AI. So, how this works is everything to do with AI is only for premium accounts. If you have a free account, you can still create projects, you can still have access to everything that's interactive, but there are a few functionalities that we've sort of kept under premium. Everything to do with content generation, not just an entire lesson, but text generation using AI, image generation using AI, voice generation using AI. These are for premium accounts only. But if you want to start from scratch, and you have a pro account, you can use AI to create an entire lesson, an entire resource. So if I click on create new project here, again, we work with projects, sections, and resources. We call resources the actual content, but no need to worry. I just clicked on create new project. One of my options is AI. Another one of my options is to create a completely empty blank project, and then I can just start working on that, adding content, adding different bits of interactive content to it. Or I can use one of our templates. I can browse all of the templates, find something I like, and then use it to start. But let's try the AI project. And let's say I want to create a lesson about the solar system. I'll input this title because the first step in creating a lesson using AI is telling the platform what you need. And it asks for a title, for a duration. And I should mention here that this is not, I mean, this is important according to what you want to create. If you want to create a course for asynchronous use, this is really relevant because the platform will give you content for this amount of time, but you're going to tweak it anyway, so take it with the sort of a grain of salt. You can leave 15 minutes here and it's fine. We'll keep tweaking it anyway. The subject, let's just say it's science, is usually the school subject you're creating for. The age can be anything. Um, you can add the age of your learners, obviously, and you can add any age you want. Under tone, this is where we input an actual adjective. This is for the text that the platform will generate. The text will have a little bit of an undertone, and this is where you can decide whether you want your lesson, your course to be more professional, whether you want it to be funny, friendly, and just input that adjective there. I'll just input friendly. The project language can be English, or you can choose from a lot of other project languages. It will provide content in these languages. The list is huge. I'd like to say all of the languages, but that's a bold statement, so I'll refrain from doing that. And for keywords, this is where we help the platform sort of understand exactly what we need. So it can be maybe the planets, impact on Earth, I don't know, examples, whatever other keyword makes sense. I'm an English teacher, so a science lesson is a bit of a challenge for me. But what the platform does before actually creating it, after I've added everything, is give me a structure for my material. So I have chapters and subchapters. And then if I agree with this structure, this number represents the number of minutes the chapter or subchapter will last. But again, take this with a grain of salt. We're going to change things around. If I agree with this structure, if this makes sense, if I don't want to add any subchapters or any chapters, then I can click on Generate Lesson. It typically takes a few seconds. I think maybe closer to a minute, it depends. And then it will generate an entire lesson where we'll see that what it did was generate text and the structure. And then for everything that's interactive or that's not text, we'll need to edit it and add things. But we can add videos from YouTube using intervals. We can generate videos using AI, since this is again for pro accounts. We can generate voices. We can tweak images. You've already seen me search through images through stock photos, but you can even generate images. So you have the freedom to sort of play around and again, add tools that you're already using. Mentimeter, I don't think I mentioned that before, or other presentations. Um, it doesn't typically work on slides, and perhaps this is something I should have mentioned from the get-go. Everything saves automatically, and you can create a lesson that looks like it's on slides, but the typical way you've seen that our section is kind of like a page where you keep adding things. And you can just be an infinite scroll of things, or you can add different bits of ways to stop the learner from moving forward without going through content. I'll show you in a second. So I'll close this one. This is the lesson the platform has created for me called the solar system. If I double click on my section, I can see that inside here, I have a title, I have the structure with text boxes that I can edit. I have my first chapter. This is text that the platform has generated. It's also provided me with space to add other types of resources with suggestions for resources. It works in the exact same way. I double click something and I can change it. I double click my text, I can edit it. I double click my image, I can change my image to whatever I want. I don't want an image here, I can delete it, and I can add a video. And if I double click that video, I can click on change video, add a video from YouTube or any other video sharing platform, upload my own video, choose a stock video, or generate a video using AI. What this tool does is you're able to select an avatar, choose a background for them, input a text, and they will lip sync that text for you. It takes a while to generate, so I won't demonstrate at the moment, but you are able to do this with premium accounts. You can select from multiple voices, multiple languages, again, a very long list of languages. And for widely spoken languages like English or French, for instance, you can choose between multiple accents as well. So a lot of versatility here. And you can do this with voices only. So if you just want to generate audio, you can do that as well. Very handy, same way. You double click, you add things, drag and drop, and double click will take you everywhere you need to go in LIVRESQ. And you can edit and remove everything that you don't need from this lesson. I did mention, and this is one more thing that I want to show you, I did mention that there are ways to stop the learner from moving forward if they don't go through a bit of content. So when we created LIVRESQ, the main idea was to have this editor be about learning and about creating learning infrastructure and e-learning content, similar to other tools that are already there. It's not just a tool that allows you to combine texts and images on a page and that's that. It's not like a website builder. We wanted to make sure that there are other tools that can be used for e-learning specifically. So if we go into view mode, you'll see that when I open this, first of all, I have my table of contents here. I cannot move through it because something is stopping me. If I close it, I'll just click here. I'll notice this little guy here. He can speak or not, according to what the creator has chosen. And this little guy is my guide, my virtual teacher that allows me to go step by step through the content. He becomes the interactive bit. He becomes my guide, I guess. He's fully customizable. You can change the character as well. You can change the voice. You can change the sound. I'll click on continue, and then very easily he guides me step by step. I just have these two avatars here, but you've noticed that there is no way for me to scroll down. I need to click continue on him because this is the last assistant in this particular course. Then I can just scroll down through here and he's unlocked the rest of my lesson. But I can keep adding assistants and they will keep me locked in. I won't be able to scroll down unless I go through every bit of content. The lesson that we've just edited, that can be found, by the way, in resources here, it's automatically saved. I'll open it again, uses another way to manage this. So here we have what we call a barrier. Unless I interact with this accordion here, unless I read everything or open everything, of course, there's no way for us to actually make sure the student reads everything unless we test them afterwards. I need to click on every title here in order to be able to activate this button that allows me to move forward. And again, here we have the same situation. So there are ways to turn your materials, not just make them a list of something, but to create this infrastructure, this whole course environment for your learners. And that was the main goal behind creating LIVRESQ. And again, editing it, adding all of the information you want, and then the possibility to publish it as an open educational resource with the source that you can edit, or as a resource that you can use for any type of private use or any type of, I don't know, maybe if you're doing it professionally, and we use LIVRESQ to create bespoke professional courses, you can also export it as a SCORM and feature it inside a learning management system. Okay, so are there any questions regarding anything that I've sort of showcased tonight? Anything that I've shown you? Anything that I've discussed? Maybe I should highlight again that this is a pro feature, the fact that we can use AI to create a full course, but you don't have to have a pro account in order to create materials. Texts, images, all of the resources here, diplomas, quizzes. Quizzes are quite complex. We've recently added the ability to time your learners, to give them a specific time in which they need to finish a quiz or to create question pools. We have multiple webinars regarding how quizzes work as well, and how you can edit quizzes with images, without images. So everything here can be added with a free account as well. But everything to do with AI is under the premium. Okay. I guess it's a good thing that there are no questions. It means everything was really clear. We are here, or I am here every other Thursday, so we meet on Thursdays twice a month. We showcase different features, or we talk about different features, or we talk about what we've added as new features, as well, anything in terms of news. There will be a lot of things coming, so stay tuned. I'll be here again in 2 weeks at 6:30 Central European time. Same place again. We're usually live on Zoom. We're also live on Facebook, and then these recordings are also uploaded to YouTube. Thank you so much. Great. So I will see you back here in 2 weeks' time. For any other questions, you can write to us or you can leave a comment. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for letting us know. It's we'll check the Zoom to make sure that it's going to be correct from now on. It's supposed to adapt to your computer time. So for those of us watching us live, for those of you watching us live on other platform on Facebook, we had a question about the time on Zoom. So the purpose of Zoom is to sort of adapt. But yeah, I think maybe it was a little bit of a hiccup. Thank you very much for letting us know, and I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks' time. Have a great evening or rest of your day, according to where you are.